Hey guys, I'm Philo and welcome to a Quake 1 map review. This is a map by a guy called Squid V on the Quake mapping Discord. He says this is his first map and it looks phenomenal if that is actually the case. But yeah, I'll be ripping him to shreds, of course, on every aspect I can nitpick, just being as horrible as I can in every way. I really enjoy this map. It's a short map, it looks really nice, it has a strong theme to it visually. I think there are some gameplay issues which I'm going to talk about as we go through. This is mostly going to be focused on gameplay. I don't actually have a published map, so there's only so much I can say, I think, before, you know, my credibility is called into question. But yeah, this is a really classic retro style map. I had a lot of fun playing it, and let's take a look at what this guy did, Squid V. So right off the bat, we've got a classic Quake thing, enemy kind of patrolling near you, you have to get into a tussle straight away. I love this opening, I love that there are these little nooks and crannies, I want to explore it, I want to look for secrets. The crypts are there. This map is called Oldcrypt, by the way, so straight away we've kind of got, you know, it's showing us the theme. Now, my first thought looking at this is that I can jump over it. If there isn't a clip there, I didn't check in the map source. If there isn't a clip brush there stopping people going through, I would look at it because there's a ramp, and ramps in Quake mean that you get a lot of vertical height and can break sequence in levels, so just make sure that's clipped off. I was too lazy to check. But okay, more nooks and crannies. I'm getting really distracted at the start, but now let's get into a fight. We have an ogre down here, kind of this drop-down fight, and right off the bat I just want to say, you know, this is an awkward place to put an ogre, and I think that's good. I think it's good to kind of force people to fight ogres at close combat, you know, challenge them in that way, but dropping down into this fight, I did find it a bit odd that the ogre just stood there. Given the geometry of this section, it would be kind of weird if the ogre activated. There wouldn't be a lot of room to dodge grenades, so that could be problematic, and maybe, you know, once upon a time you were having it get triggered when the player first dropped down and it proved to be an issue. I don't know, but I just found it a little bit stale, a little bit static, that the ogre just kind of stands there until you're ready to shoot him at your leisure. I think it puts a bit too much control into the player's hands. I love when a Quake map has a set piece, like you drop down and shit goes off. So just something to think about. But yeah, I like this geometry for fighting the ogre. I think that's kind of a weird, different place to fight him. And then straight off the bat we have a Death Knight. I kind of groaned when I saw this. I don't really like fighting Death Knights when you just have the starting shotgun. But again, we've got a nice corridor. Corridors and Death Knights are good because you don't want to fight them in corridors, so I kind of kite him around a bit. There's some fun geometry, you can do the loop, and I take him down. So we've had this series now 3 times, right? Doing things 3 times is a really good amount of repetition. At the start we fight one enemy, then we drop down and fight one ogre, then we fight one Hell Knight. So in my mind I'm thinking, okay, I want something to open up a bit more, I want to fight more than one thing at a time. And well, coming up into this elevator, I'll talk about that nail gun there in a second. If you missed it, I don't blame you, I just missed it. We see a Fiend, and at this point I'm like, okay, holy crap. We've had an escalation from Ogre to Death Knight to Fiend, but fighting a Fiend with just a shotgun is not fun. So I try and run away, it doesn't work for me, I get a little bit cornered, and I accidentally back into the nail gun, which makes this fight a lot more approachable and straightforward. And there he goes. So I'm going to jump back and just talk about this nail gun pickup quickly. We come up here. Okay, so this nail gun just completely blended into this wall for me. I wasn't drawn to this enough, and given that you're about to fight a Fiend and the nail gun makes the fight a bit better, I think you should emphasize this a bit more. Maybe put some more light behind the nail gun, just so that it really pops, or like, you just make it feel like this whole area glows a bit more. I see how this is visually consistent with everything else you've done, but I think the gameplay has to take precedence here. But yeah, so the Fiend. Okay. And I think I do actually just take a minute here to... Oh no, I come down. So again, we've fought one thing at a time, 4 things in a row now. I'm looking for something a bit different, and we do get it here. I like this surprise, I like the dark area, I like that you hear the sound cue and aren't totally sure where it's from. But again, it's just kind of these enemies in a corridor where they're not too hard to deal with. Something a bit different, you know, right here. This is when it needs it most. Again, I think these are really cool secrets. I love exploring dark areas in Quake for secrets. I think it's a great use of light. And that secret door, very, very classic Quake. I like it a lot. Here I'm going to take a moment just to look around and see how this all connected up at the start. But yeah, a little bit too corridor heavy off the bat. I think the theme is really good for confined spaces, but there are probably more interesting ways to do confined spaces, especially maybe with some verticality in them. And again, you know, we've got 2 enemies this time instead of 1. But again, we're in this corridor, these are melee enemies, it's not really a challenge to deal with them. There, I'm just making sure it's not a texture bug. It is actually just his pokey stick. This I feel like should have been a trap, or could have been a trap, right? This looks like a Quake 1 trap. You drop down here, and a spike wall chases you out. Okay, so we're into a big engagement. This is like the big engagement of the map, I'd say. We've got some dogs, and we've got some ogres firing these grenades down. This is a great use of ogres. I love the way the grenades bounce around off of this geometry. I love that they're elevated. Shows a really good understanding of the mechanics that these guys use and how they can be incorporated into map design. Again, if there was one thing I had to say though, this is just another corridor, right? From a visual point of view, I think you're mixing these corridors up in a nice way. It's smart. It means you're not making these massive spaces, but you're also, keeping us interested visually. It's economical in that sense, but I think from a gameplay point of view, we need to expand beyond corridors, especially by this point of the map. With these shorter maps, you have to have a peak somewhere. But it's cool, you get to dance around a bit. One way I would maybe change this, again, I would open it up a bit, or like have an ogre off to the side somewhere maybe, like make a little indent here and have an ogre open the area up a bit more in terms of width. And just make it a bit more chaotic. As it stood, those two ogres, they fired in step every single time, I think. And so you get two grenades at once, but having kind of a volley of offset grenades, again, just might be more interesting from a gameplay point of view. I play around with a ramp jump there. Ramp jumps are really cool, but you've got to watch out for how they can break your maps. I like this Death Knight fight. Again, I think it's a good use of verticality in the level. I'm a bit caught off guard by the floaty dude behind me. I think, are these things called scrags? I think that's it. Is it scrag? But yeah, I think having the two enemies, like, you face the Death Knight, you're drawn to that right away, and then you have one 180 degrees behind you. If you look at the original Quake maps, I don't think that happens very often, and there's kind of a good reason for it, right? Quake 1 doesn't have great positional sound, and it can be really hard to know what's going on when that happens. That might be a deliberate thing, but I don't know, just like the 180 is a bit extreme. And you come out of this, you're probably going to take some damage. Again, I'm hunting around in the dark here, but you come to get these HP packs, and there's dog. I feel like it's, like, if I'd have died to that, it would have felt very cheap. Because I didn't die, I kind of laughed it off, but you have to be so careful with how you do stuff like that. Surprise dog in the dark is a cool idea. Surprise dog on health packs after a kind of dangerous engagement, a bit more dangerous. Again, a nice little vertical element. This whole space felt a bit claustrophobic to me, but I think that kind of helps the theme of the map. I look away at just the right time to miss that wonderful little opening there. And I think this is another great use of ogres. I think if there's one thing this map demonstrates, it's a good understanding of how to use ogres. This geometry is just so much fun, kind of baiting out the grenades through these little gaps and trying to shoot through them. This was a really, really fun engagement. Another thing I'm looking for here is if you can surf up the ramps, and you can't. So you get the key, you come through the door, and that's the end of the level. 1 out of 1 secret. Yeah, just nice and short. It was kind of a complete package, and I had a lot of fun playing it, like I said. A bit of a retro vibe. So hopefully that's a good little takedown of some of the gameplay elements, and what I would want to see more of in future maps. How you could kind of extend this style into something better. But yeah, a great starting point. If my first map that I publish is anywhere near as good as that, I will be very, very happy. Well done on the visual design. Again, if there was a big thing with the visual design, it's that there are a lot of corridors. Find more ways to blend them up. More like indents into the walls and like torches and stuff. I don't know. There's a lot you can do to mix it up. But I'm going to leave it there. I think I've said all I can about such a short map. I've actually spent longer talking about it than I did playing it. And this is actually the second time I've recorded this video, because the first time I recorded at 10 frames a second, which was wonderful. So this is my re-recording of my review, my re-review. Thank you guys for watching. If you're interested in Quake mapping, check out the Quake mapping Discord. I've linked it in the video description. I'll catch you guys next time.